Hi, I'm Steve, welcome to my channel. Thinking about going with your own home solar system and unsure if your house is suitable? Well, stick around and I'll talk you through to my first 6 months performance of my system. So firstly, why did we decide to go solar? Well, I've been working from home for the last few years. We've got 2 teenage boys in the house who are both into their gaming, and we've been driving electric cars for the last 8 years or so. So naturally, we're fairly high users of energy anyway. We'd always considered going with solar, but our roof layout didn't really have any direct south-facing elements, so we'd always dismissed it as not being cost viable. However, with the rising cost of energy in the last few years, we decided to take another look. Having looked back into the technology and how it's moved on, and realising that a single leaf can't take down the entire solar string, we decided to give it a proper look and get some quotes in. So firstly, let's take a look at the roof layout. So here you can see our house. As you can see on the rear, we have an extension, but it's got a couple of ridges which breaks the roof down into several small chunks. On the front elevation is the only real large surface area we've got for panels, but unfortunately this isn't on the optimal south elevation. This will be the south elevation, but it's only got a small area for panels, but we wanted to see what we can get on with the installers. So, in briefing the installers, we gave them our yearly consumption, which is around about 6,000 kilowatt hours for the house, with the electric cars using approximately 3,000, taking our total usage up to 9,000 kilowatt hours approximately for the entire year. In speaking with 3 separate installers, we gave them a similar brief, which was just max out as many panels as we could possibly get on the roof, and just to see how close we get to meeting our total usage, which we knew we wouldn't quite achieve, but it was interesting to see where we could get to. We finally settled on one installer who gave us a really good price, and we've been very happy with the service that we've received from them. So let's have a look at what they actually managed to achieve for us. So here you can see they've absolutely filled the roof as best possible, with the only element of roof not being used is the west elevation. We've got panels on either side of the ridges, at the rear and within the valley, and on the main frontage of the house we've got a big array, which unfortunately there was one panel they couldn't quite get in, which is just next to that dormer, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. And we've got a few panels directly south facing, which was great. And these all feed back into the Sunsynk 8 kW Eco inverter, which is paired with a 15.5 kilowatt hour Fogstar Battery, which soaks up any excess solar and we use for charging and topping up overnight when we're running the house during the winter. So let's have a quick look at how these panels are all laid out. Well, we've managed to achieve 5 panels facing north with 3 external and 2 in the valley. We've got 8 panels facing east and a further 3 panels on the southern elevation with another 2 south facing panels in the valley. This gives us a total of 18 panels, which we went with the 445 watt Aiko panels, gives us a total kilowatt peak of 8. So just to give a better illustration of how these panels are all laid out, the inverter has 4 total inputs over 2 MPPTs, with the east going into 1 MPPT on 1 string, and the north and south split into 2 separate strings, which have all got the Tigo optimisers on them. We didn't put the optimisers on the front elevation as there was no real shading, but obviously with the rear elevations having the ridges and some hard shading, we thought this would be beneficial. So then these will pair up with the battery. So how did the system perform? Well, it went live on the 28th of June, so we had a couple of days there, which gave us 82.4 kilowatt hours. Our first full month didn't come until July, which gave us 957 kilowatt hours. August was 852.5. September was 502.6. Again, going into October, which was 328.1. Really starting to drop off now into November, which was 132.7. And obviously the worst month being 84.5 for December, giving us a total generation for the first 6 months of 2,939. So if we double that roughly, hopefully we'll be targeting 6,000 kilowatt hours for the entire year. And this next slide just gives you a general overview of how the solar performs against the house load, and this is excluding any of the car charging, which is all on a separate circuit. So our crossover month at the moment seems to be September, before we start dipping down and having to draw off the grid to provide most of our electricity. As mentioned, the rear panels all have Tigo optimisers on them, so it allows the panels to operate individually. And as you can see here, there's a general layout from the portal which gives us a breakdown of each individual panel and how they perform, so we can see them on the separate strings. So moving over into this slide here, gives you a breakdown of the north and south split and how they've worked. The northern aspect doing 601 kilowatt hours for the year, and the southern doing 1029 kilowatt hours, which gives us a total of 1630 just from the rear portion of the house, which is showing that the north panels are actually producing 58.4% of what the south panels do, which is quite surprising really, and I thought it would be a bit less at no more than 50%, so push nearly 60 is fantastic. And this is a general breakdown of how each of the arrays perform against each other. So as you can see, the northern aspect is doing 20.5 kilowatt hours, the south is 35, and the east is bringing it up to 44. So overall, I think it's done quite well for the year. Now we come on to the all-important costs. What did our system include? Well, as mentioned, we've got 18 panels, will give us an 8 kilowatt peak, 10 of which had the Tigo optimizer added on to it. We've got the 8 kilowatt hybrid inverter. This included all the bird mesh, DNO application, which we went for the G99, not the G98, and all the scaffolding. So this came in at £9,390, excluding VAT. And then from my point of view, I added in the Fogstar Battery as it was very new and the installers were a little bit unsure about it. So I was happy to foot the bill for that one and provide it separately for them to install. And also we had a Zappi charger to replace our existing car charger, so we can gain access to that all-important tariff. So this brings our total outlay for the project to £12,390. Here we come on to the savings. What did we actually spend? What have we actually saved? As mentioned at the top, we've got the Intelligent Octopus Go rates at 7 pence per kilowatt hour for the off-peak, 25 pence per kilowatt hour peak rate, and we're comparing this against the current price cap rate of 24.86 pence per unit, and we're now being paid an export rate of 15 pence per kilowatt hour. The table below is broken down into several categories. Obviously we've got what we've imported in off-peak for each month, peak imports, total imports, the export in kilowatt hours, what it would have cost us on the price cap rate, what it's actually cost us on the Intelligent Go rates, what we've been paid for the export, and lastly we've got our net Octopus bill, as you can see on the right hand side. Feel free to pause it here because I know this is a lot of information to try and compare to, but it gives a good overview of what we've actually spent. So this brings us on to our total savings for the first 6 months. We have saved £1,139.03 versus what our previous tariff would have been had we not moved from our standard fixed rate tariff to the Octopus and having the solar installed. Now this figure is a minimum saving and doesn't include for the savings that of the solar that we've actually used in the home. It doesn't include for any of the DFS saving sessions or any fuel savings for internal combustion engine versus electric car charging, as we've been driving the cars for so long now. Brings us on to the all-important ROI. So this is what everyone wants to know. How long will it take us to recover our cost? As we said, £12,390 was our initial outlay. There's an approximate saving of £2,300 a year, gives us a payback time of 5.4 years, which is really good. I was surprised myself. I thought this would be 6 to 8 years minimum, but we believe we can get this down to 5 years. So, in summary, would I recommend solar panels? I think given the costs involved and the 5-year payback period, I think for us it's definitely worth it. Obviously everyone's different, your circumstances may be slightly different to mine, but if you're a high user of electricity, then solar panels and batteries are definitely worth it. I think it's all about getting a good installer and getting the right price, but other than that, I think it's definitely viable for everyone. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to drop a like and a comment below. Any feedback will be fantastic, as this is my first video, so any feedback and criticism is welcome. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully you'll join me in my next video where I'll try and do a month-by-month update of how the system performs and hopefully give a little bit more of a tailored background and a bit more detail into each of the months. Cheers, thank you, bye.